What is up, you guys? Welcome back to Me TV Reviews. I am your host, Mo, and today we're going to be discussing It. Welcome to Derry, y'all. This is season 1, episode 4, titled The Great Swirling Apparatus of Our Planet's Function. Now, if that's not the right title, y'all, that's my bad, okay? But that's the only one I could find. So without further ado, actually, you know what? Before we get started, okay, I want to send out warm wishes to everybody who has lost somebody that they truly cherish. I know that the holiday season can be really hard for a lot of people to get through, especially if you don't have a good support system around you, or just good company to keep checking in, okay? So I just want y'all to know that Mo is with y'all during this holiday season, and hopefully I can brighten your spirits at least temporarily as you get through this very difficult time. All right. So without further ado, y'all, just wanted to say that before we get started, because it's been on my heart for the last couple of days. I just keep forgetting to do it when I start the recordings. So let's go ahead and get into the synopsis for this one real quick, and then we're going to get right into the episode. So the synopsis for this one is: the kids face increasingly terrifying experiences. Charlotte tries to help Hank, and General Shaw intensifies his efforts. All right, y'all. Now, some of this is secretary shorthand because I watched episode 4 like the other day, but I took notes on it. But it was so good, y'all. So if I forget the minor things, please charge it to my head and not my heart, okay? So this episode kicks off with the kids. They're taking the pictures that they took from the cemetery to the chief in hopes that this would convince him and everybody else that there is something sinister that's happening here in Derry. But when the chief and his homies look at him, y'all, all the pictures except for one show absolutely nothing out of the norm. You see some bird poop on a tombstone. You see some flowers. Okay, you see a gravestone. The only one that has some sort of significance to it is the one that Will took in the crypt of Pennywise. And to them, it don't even look like nothing. It looks like a daggone statue. And so, of course, I think it was either Ronnie or Lily. Are you freaking blind? Are you kidding me right now? It's a clown, you idiot. And so the chief was like, hey, man. All right, first off, Lily, do you really want to get sent back to Juniper? Okay? Do you want to get sent back to Junie June? Because we will send you there. So it's back to the drawing board, y'all. They got nowhere. And in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I could see if it was just Lily coming up in here by herself. She's got 3 other kids. Now, of course, you know, they're probably going to discount whatever Ronnie got to say because her daddy is currently in county. But the other 2, come on now. Come on now. Well, they probably would discount what Will got to say too because he black. But come on, we got at least one more. We got a little Rich over there. I'm just saying it's more than just Lily coming in here saying that they've seen something. Everybody can't be crazy. Everybody can't be lying. When are you going to start believing people? Something needs to happen to that chief. I'm tired. I am so tired. And you know what? He probably know more than what he letting on. I just don't understand that. Why wouldn't you believe the kids? So Will suggest that they speak to people that have been there because who knows, they might have experienced something in the past. And I was like, come on, Will. Yes. Use your noodle. I love it. So Lily reaches out to the lady, and I believe this is the same lady that she had created a bond with while she was at Juniper Hills, that worked in housekeeping. And so she sits down with the lady, and the lady does mention some kids going missing in the 30s, but she figured that it was due to the time that they were in because I believe this was during the time of the Great Depression. Okay, so things like that about kids going missing got dismissed, and I was like, okay, but don't they still have to keep a log of what happened if it was due to like kids dying of starvation or, you know, what have you? Okay. Yeah, so it's dismissed. Nobody's really paying attention to it. Now, Rose ends up dropping by Charlotte and Leroy's house to deliver the furniture that she purchased. in the last episode, but she also wanted to check in on Charlotte because Charlotte has been reading the newspaper about what's going on with the missing kids and with Hank and all of that. And Charlotte ends up asking her, should she be concerned about what's happening? And instead of her answering the question like straight up, like, hell yeah, girl, you need to get up out of here. Like now. You should have left like yesterday. I don't even know why they told you it would be safe for you to move here. It's not safe. Why doesn't anybody give any warnings? If people are asking questions, especially Rose, come on now. It's so irritating sometimes because some people are very aware of what's happening, but why don't you give other people a heads up, especially them? They're new. I just don't get it. So anyway, instead of her answering the question straight up, she warns her that things tend to go left from time to time. Okay, so just keep your people real close to your chest. All right, just in case some stuff go left. Now, Dick and the homies go check out the new hangout. Y'all remember he had asked for a new space that wasn't gonna get rained in on, and it needs a little love. Actually, you know what? It don't need a little bit of love. It need a whole bunch of love, but that's okay. Okay, because you got all these men around here that's willing to do some cleaning. It's definitely got potential, especially when you're talking about bringing some pretty ladies up in there, putting some music on and having a nice glass of some brandy or some bourbon or something like that, right? So everybody starts to clean up, but just as he's finna get ready to go grab something, y'all, did y'all check out Holleran's face? He had a look of unease on his face, very concerning. And I feel like I've heard, well, I'm not going to skip ahead, but yeah, I haven't read the books and I haven't seen all of the movies, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but he just did not, yeah, I didn't like that look. Now, Lily, and I put it in my notes, y'all, is Margot. I be wanting to call that little girl Margot so bad. Lily and Marge, y'all, they still giving each other the silent treatment as today's lesson in class goes over how to duck and cover when an atomic bomb detonates. I was like, really? Y'all, that has to be so scary. What a time. That is so terrifying. How do you... And then they was talking about when the bomb detonate, how it's going to burn your skin. And yeah, no. That is terrifying. So Will comes home. And he starts looking for the pictures, right? But he can't find them. Well, that's because his mama done already found them. And so she was like, hey, so what's going on here? Because these pictures, where you been? You need to tell me something right now. So he ends up giving her a quick summary of what happened. And I don't think he mentioned the ghost chasing them. But I mean, I guess, well, they didn't show up in the picture, so it wouldn't matter no way. But yeah, he didn't mention it. And I was like, you should really tell your mama everything. But he was so emotional, y'all. Bless his heart. So she promises to try to keep this between them for now because, you know, if your daddy knew that you was sneaking out like that, you would definitely be getting more than just a talking to. Okay. Um, but she wants him to just be safe until she figures out what's going on. Now at dinner, Leroy ends up asking him about his first week of school. And I mean, he really can't say too much because that would give everything away. And so just when she senses how uneasy he is about the whole situation, y'all, Charlotte jumps in to save him. And she helps him out by bringing up Ronnie. Right. Oh, he got a little girlfriend. Her name is Ronnie. And you know, she's a little black girl in school. She cute, you know, this, that, and the third, whatever. This definitely embarrasses him. Mom, stop. He don't say that, y'all, but he wanted to so bad. Will is so cute. And so because he's uber embarrassed by her, he ends up asking to be excused. So Charlotte suggests, you know what you got to do this weekend? And he was like, nothing. What's up? And so she was like, well, I figure you should probably get Will out of the house and try to spend some quality time with him, you know, because y'all ain't really did nothing since we moved here. You know, get him out his head a little bit. So y'all know what his idea of having a good time is? Fishing. Now, while I will say that fishing can be relaxing, I'm usually not the one casting. I will go ahead and do your line for you, but I'm not casting nothing. I will sit out there, I will look at the stars, I will eat my snacks, and I will drink my drinks. Okay? But I ain't touching nothing slimy, aside from the worm. So he took his son fishing, right? And so Will was like, man, Daddy, how long we got to keep pretending like this is fun? So he's like, what are you talking about? You know exactly what Will is talking about. Between you and him, y'all don't have nothing in common. See, Leroy comes from um a generation where they was out, he was real athletic, and that is now Will is not that. Will is very smart, he is very intelligent, and Leroy just not has he's not welcoming his son and the idea of him just not being super interested in athletics. And it's okay. Let Will be boy genius over there. I love it. So he ends up switching gears with him because he senses the Will is bored out of his mind, completely disinterested, and he ends up bringing up Ronnie. Now, of course, this brings a smile to Will's face because it's a little puppy love, okay? I was finna sing Bow Wow and Jagged Edge, but I can't remember the lyrics right now, y'all. It's just puppy love. So he starts smiling a little bit, and he ends up casting his line, right? So, well, the line that he had cast, excuse me, it got a hit on it. So he starts to reel it in, and all of a sudden, whatever whoever the fish was, y'all done stole off with the food. So he was like, oh, okay, the line done broke, whatever. I got backups in the car. So I'll go get that and I'll be right back. Y'all, and as soon as he said that, I was like, no, you need to take Will with you. He was like, hey, can you hold my line for me? Watch it, keep an eye on it. And I was like, no, take him with you. I just knew something was going to happen, y'all. So Leroy is getting his tackle box out the trunk. Meanwhile, Will ends up thinking that he see a fish coming up to the line, right? Well, he looks further down to get a closer glimpse. Y'all, why was it Leroy all burnt up like he was in his plane crash when he was was it North Korea? When he was overseas. Y'all, it was him, and he pulled him under the water to try to drown him. So he starts screaming, right? Leroy hears him and he takes off back towards Will's direction. Thankfully, he's able to save him. But I was like, Will, are you gonna tell him what happened? So he does tell him. He was like, I saw you. I saw you when you were all burnt up, when you had your plane crash. And he was like, what are you talking about? Like, he didn't believe him at first, but then he looked down and he saw Will's arms. Y'all, Will's arms were burned. He had like second or third degree burns on his arms. And then they both happen to look up and they see the red balloon. And so he was like, Dad, it's something bad happening in Derry. We need to get the hell out of here. So Charlotte ends up visiting Chief Bowers to address her concerns about what Will told her, but to also see if he's really doing everything that he can to make sure that they've got the right man, talking about Hank. So he was like, what do you mean? And she was like, yeah, so did you make sure that he had a lawyer? Do you have this in place? Did you ask him about his alibi? Did you check this? Did you do that? And he was like, yeah, we done did all of that. And so then she ends up challenging him a little bit more, like I said, by asking him, did he have a lawyer? Which he dismissively says, yeah, he done did all them things, okay? This is not the South, Mrs. Hanlon. But the look that he had after she left said that he better, cross his T's and dot all of his I's because Charlotte is not the person to play with. She is coming. So you better make sure you got all your shit lined up, okay? Because if not, she's going to be a problem. Now, as soon as she leaves there, she heads over to Ronnie's house to talk to her grandmother. So she mentions how she's had experiences with helping other blacks, in the South when she lived there, who have been coerced into confessing to crimes that they did not commit. So it seems like she's got a little bit of experience, a little bit of expertise in the legal world. Um, or at least she knows the right people that she can look for to help her if she does not have the answers. So, she got a couple connections. And she was like, okay, so I'm just trying to, make sure that Hank got everything that he need. And she was like, well, I mean, that's real nice and all, Charlotte. But the reality is he was not here. He lied to the police. And while all of this is a really nice gesture, nobody knows where he went in the middle of the night aside from him and God. And ain't neither one of them talking. So he was not in bed. He lied to the police, but he's not giving up where he was. So it must be really bad. But she was like, there's no way that my son could have did that to them kids. Okay. He didn't do that, but I don't know where he was. Now, Hollerin and the fellas, they still cleaning up the joint when Hollerin has a vision, another one, of his grandma this time. Okay. Now, grandma came to him when he was down there in the sewers with Pennywise, when he was finna get ready to jump out of that helicopter, out of that chopper. Okay. And she told him, you need to stop what you're doing because something bad gonna happen. This time, grandmama tells him around the same thing. You need to be careful. Mind you, where this place is, I believe that this is probably right next to the woods that, that it resides in. That's it. So just as she disappears, y'all, Leroy pops up because he needs more details about what exactly they're in search of, because his son was attacked today. And Hollering is trying to downplay it like, oh, I don't know nothing. I'm just here to do my job. I'm just here to do what they told me to do, or do what they asked me to do. But I don't know no specifics. I don't know no details. That is until Leroy ended up grabbing his arm and was like, hey, man, I'm serious. And Hollerin looked at him like, fool, I'm serious too. You better get your hand up off of me. But Hollerin did tell him, look, I'm just as clueless as you are. I don't know. Again, warnings. Can we not give each other warnings? Can we not help everybody else in the community so we can fight together against this thing? The more people know about it, the better we can strategize. I don't get it, y'all. So the kids go to their spot, and it's Will who puts it together that whatever this thing is that's haunting them, it must be feeding off of their fear. But there's no way that they can be scared in certain, that they can't, be scared in certain situations. Of course, it's just going to come with it. Like, it's just a natural response. But Will was like, maybe there is. Because apparently, y'all, Lily done snagged some pills from her mama. And all I could think as she handed these pills to these kids, I was like, I really do hope that those are anxiety meds and not like some acid or something, because the only thing that she could tell them was every time my mama is stressed about a bill or what have you, she goes for the pills, she puts it in her mouth and she lets it dissolve, and she says that these are mommy's feel better meds. And I was like, okay. Y'all be safe, be careful, Lily. It'll be just your luck. Lily has got the worst luck. She does. I feel so sorry for her. Now in class, I put Margot again, y'all. Marge finally extends an olive branch for her and Lily to have lunch. Just us good girlfriends, because It's been a long time, and I want us to be like old times. I miss you. I miss you, my friend. Okay? But it seems like whatever she's trying to do is rooted in ill will, because as soon as Lily was like, "All right, girl, maybe we can give this thing another shot." Y'all, Marge ended up looking over at Patty, and Patty was like, "Okay, it's a go." Patty is definitely coaching her, y'all. I can't stand Marge. And I can't stand Patty Mayonnaise over there. Let me not disrespect Patty Mayonnaise, because Patty Mayonnaise was actually a good one. We liked Patty Mayonnaise in Doug. So Charlotte makes her way down to county. She makes her way down to county lockup and demands to speak to Hank. Now, at first, whoever that guy was, I feel like that wasn't General Fuller. That was probably just like a regular sheriff person. I don't know. Police officer. So he was like, no, ma'am. You're not family, and you're not his lawyer, so that's gonna be a no for you. That's gonna be a hard no, okay? And so she was like, but I actually have a letter. I have a letter signed by his mother stating that I could speak to him. And so he looked at it and he was like, well, you're gonna have to wait and see what the chief say. And so she was like, oh, we plan it like that. See, you must not know who I am or what I can do with a phone. Okay. See, with a telephone and the yellow pages and a phone book, I could work some magic. Y'all, she ends up threatening to make a phone call that would have all the right eyes on this here little old racist town. Okay. I'm going to call in MLK. I'm going to call in JFK, RFK, all the Ks. Okay? Keep playing with me. Do you really want them type of eyes on what you got going on over here? So needless to say, she's able to talk to him. And so when she gets in there, she proceeds to explain that his rights have been violated because they never gave him a bail hearing. Yeah. See, Charlotte know a thing or two. And while this will give him a temporary reprieve, if the time comes and this trial continues, or the trial is granted, you still gonna have to eventually give an alibi if this does go to trial. You know that, right? And so he was like, man, okay. So she tries to reassure him, whatever it is, it's going to be fine. I don't know what you into. I don't know where you was, but whatever it is, we can figure this out and we can make this thing work. And so he ends up telling her to basically be quiet, girl. Okay. Turns out, y'all, Hank was not at home. Okay. He was out. That is true. But he was messing around with not only a married woman, but she was a white married woman. And this is definitely not the town nor the place to be having adulterous affairs, y'all. Because y'all know exactly what's going to happen to him if he decides to tell the truth about where he was. And he was kind of concerned about her too. And I was like, no, sir, you the one that needs to be concerned, because he said he knew where he was going. Okay. I'm not going to no jail. I'm not going back home. If I tell them where I really was, I'm going to a tree. And that is so unfortunate, y'all. That is so unfortunate because it takes two. It takes two to do something like that. But in the same token, Hank, you know better. You know better. I don't even know why you was I don't even know. You shouldn't have put yourself in that situation, but either way, she wasn't right neither. She's very wrong. But there's going to be way more severe consequences for you than it ever will be for her. That's it. So he was like, hey man, if and it may be real tight for you, but maybe you can try to help me out of this jam that I done got myself into. And I was like, I don't know. I really don't know about this one. Ronnie just might have to be raised by her grandmother because this is not looking good for old Hank. Now back at school, Lily and Marge are moving through an awkward conversation at lunch when little Timmy come over there. Now little Timmy seems like he's one of the jocks at school. Okay, he seems like all the little girls is just fawning all over him. Oh, Timmy, Timmy, I like your hair, Timmy. Oh, Timmy, you look so good in that jacket. Whatever. So he comes over and he says hey to the girls. And y'all, Marge tries to go ahead and hype Lily up because, girl, did you see the way he looked at you? Did you see the way he said hey to you? Did you see the way he was waving at you? I think he like you, girl. And she was like, nah, You you really think so? And she was like, yeah, girl, I really do. I really do think he likes you, okay? And so they look back over at him again. And he waved again, telling him to come on over. So she was like, oh my goodness, I'm so nervous. I gotta pee, girl. Let me go run to the bathroom real quick. I gotta go freshen up. So as soon as she leaves out, y'all, Patty come over there talking to Marge, and she was like, where'd she go? See, I knew that heifer was up to no good. I knew she was up to no good. And she was like, you need to go ahead and go find her. So our plan is in motion. Now you need to go get her back in here before time runs out. So I was like, okay, what is happening here? But needless to say, Marge goes in the bathroom, right? And she's checking on Lily. And yeah, like I said, y'all, Lily done got so excited that a little boy is even possibly making eyes at her that she's got the pee. Okay. So she's in the stall. We don't hear nobody using the bathroom. Nobody's farting this time. I just can't get past that, y'all. I'm sorry. So so Marge is being riddled with guilt right now because she knows she is setting her ex homegirl up for the kill. Okay. She know that they finna embarrass the hell out of her. So just as she's finna get ready to try to tell Lily the truth, she starts crying. And she looks in the mirror, y'all, and her eyes start playing tricks on her. Literally. Okay. Her eyes start bulging out, y'all. It is there in full effect. I start bulging out like she looked like one of them little alien creatures off of Our Real Monsters or something like that. Y'all, her glasses done fell. They done broke. She can't see nothing. She's really trying. And she ends up rushing out of the bathroom. Okay, she rushed out the bathroom. She finds her way to the wood shop. Yes, they still had wood shop back then, y'all. I feel like we had wood. No, we didn't. Let me not get the line. So, we had like auto club or something like that. Anywho, she makes her way to wood shop, y'all. And she ends up going over there where it's like a wood saw. I think that's what that was. And it's like a laser and some more stuff, y'all. So I was just like, that's gonna be a no. She ends up going over there, and at this point her eyes are still bulging very much outward. And she ends up using the laser or the saw to chop off or cut off the extra piece of her eye. Now, what she ended up doing, I believe, was she got it close to her actual eyeball, but I don't think it did like any permanent damage. But I guess we'll see. Needless to say, y'all, Lily had tried to go save her. Now y'all remember she gave them those pills to try to calm them down, right? When they started feeling scared. Well, she grabbed hers, but then she dropped it in the toilet. And so she ended up putting her hand down the school toilet to try to fetch this pill. That's how much of a friend she is to Marge. And unknowingly, Marge was finna stab her in the back, y'all. I can't stand it. So Lily ended up grabbing a pill. She ran to wood shop and she caught Marge just in time. Like I said, I don't think there was any permanent damage done to her eye, But how she fell on top of her, because Marge had ended up grabbing like a screwdriver or something like that. She ended up grabbing something else, a Phillips head or something. And she was trying to like gouge her own eyes out. So Lily ended up grabbing it. Now, mind you, it was blood everywhere. Lily ended up grabbing whatever type of tool she had in her hand. And of course, as her luck would have it, just as she's grabbing this tool out of her hand, all these other children come in because they hear all the commotion. And Marge is down there on the floor with Lily on top of her with this sharp object in her hand, looking like she just went to town on her ex-friend. They probably should have put her back in Juniper Hills right then, y'all. Or Arkham Asylum, because at this point, they're looking at her like she is criminally insane. Poor Lily, y'all. I just feel so bad for her. But at least now at this point, Marge understands what Lily has been trying to explain to her this entire time. She's not crazy. You just don't understand because you hadn't seen it yet. But yeah, so Marge's life is spared. Now Leroy goes to confront Charlotte about stirring the pot because when she when she went down there to go talk to Hank, y'all, Paulie Russo, Leroy's friend, his homeboy that he came into town with. Yeah, he saw her going to county. Now, Leroy, of course, got word from him, and so he talked to Charlotte about going to go talk to Hank. You really trying to stir up some mess around here. We learned that her efforts from trying to help everybody else on their worst day ultimately landed her with her own arrest record. Turns out she got arrested back in Shreveport. Now, we don't know what for, but she does have a record. Okay. So now he's trying to make sure that she just don't put this same thing on a loop here. They definitely have different ideas on how to best serve their community. Of course, she wants to extend a helping hand to the community where she sees fit. But Leroy, and she did take a dig at him about the country that he serves and how, they're not really doing this for his benefit. They're doing it for their own benefit. But she's really trying to help people that are in need. But they just don't see eye to eye when it comes to this thing. He just don't think her way works. Now, Will is in bed, and of course, at this point in time, he can't sleep. So he decides to play with his telescope. Okay, so he's looking all around the neighborhood. It's a man walking his dogs. It's a lady in a house. And then he turns the telescope a little bit more. Why is Penny standing outside his house? Right up under the lamppost. So, of course, this terrifies him and he goes to screaming. Y'all, wakes Will and, wakes Leroy and Charlotte dead up out they sleep. Okay, so Will comes rushing in. I did it again. Leroy comes rushing in. And he was like, what's going on? So Will tells him that it's somebody outside the house. So Leroy goes running out in his PJs. And he was like, who's out there? What do you want from us? Show yourself. It's the Julie James of it all. Okay. Come on out. What you want? We waiting on you. So when he goes back to bed, well, Charlotte comes in and she's checking in to see what's going on. And he was like, yeah, see, look what you done started. Now you done got people outside our house because of this mess that you're causing. So Leroy the next day ends up storming into General Shaw's office and he wants to know just what the hell do you have us searching for? Because my boy got scared last night. Oh, and I forgot to mention that when they looked outside, y'all, when Leroy was coming back in, he happened to notice that same red balloon again. So he wants to know just what the hell you got us searching for out there, huh? I need some answers. So General Shaw takes him right outside an interrogation room where Halloran is with Rose's nephew, Daniel. Because according to him, Daniel knows the location of exactly what they're looking for. Now, inside the interrogation room, Holleran was like, hey, so I got a gift. Okay. But before I use said gift, because that's going to cause both of us a lot of pain and agony, why don't you just tell me where to find what I'm looking for? And so Daniel was like, oh, you want to know? You want to know real quick? Come here. Come close, I'll tell you. Y'all, Holleran got close. Daniel spit in his face. I done told y'all how I feel about that. Okay. The ultimate disrespect. So I can't be too mad about Holleran doing what he did, but in the same token, why you have to do that boy like that, Holleran? So he just a kid. So Holleran ends up using his special gifts, and with the tap of a finger, y'all, he is in Daniel's brain. So he ends up walking in on Rose, talking to Daniel about the origin story of it and how it's been passed down from generation to generation in their tribes. And he ends up reciting the story back to her. You know, she was like, I just want to make sure that you know exactly what it is out there. Okay. That way, if somebody else bumps up against it, you know, or they come into contact with it, then we'll know. Okay. Or they'll know what they're up against. So it's here that my notes stop because it got really, really good. So Daniel ends up basically telling us that centuries ago, before the first tribe was ever there was a star that fell out the sky. Okay. And this star encapsulated it. Okay. And so when the star fell and it collided with Earth, the star cracked, the shell cracked. And this was how it was able to be unleashed. Okay. And so, you know, he roamed the earth for a little while by himself. He was lonely. And then here come the Native Americans and their tribes, and they set up shop. Now, it was wreaking havoc at first, but they finally figured out how to keep themselves safe by using the shell of the star, of the broken star, because I guess it's kryptonite, right? They use the shell of the star as barriers of protection. So their leader had ended up like putting this one particular piece on a sphere, or you know, some sort of sharp object to keep them all safe. However, this was the only piece that they had. And so after a while, you know, they had come to an understanding, if you will, you know, albeit it wasn't the best, but as long as they stayed out of its way, it primarily resided like in the West Woods, in the Western Woods. And so as long as they didn't go over there in the Western Woods, then, you know, they were free to roam the rest of the land and live in peace. But unfortunately, the settlers came in. Now, when the settlers came in, they tried to warn them, hey, don't go over there. Don't you go over there in them woods, because ain't nothing good gonna come from it. But the settlers thought they knew everything, and they went on over there anyway. Well, of course, when they went over there, people started getting picked off left and right. Okay. And so then after a while, it had grown so much from feeding off of all of these people that they couldn't contain it anymore with just that one piece. And so they realized that they would have to relocate a little bit further out to keep everybody safe. Well, one of the tribe leaders, I believe she was the primary leader, didn't want to relocate. Instead, she wanted to go back in and find more pieces of the shell to create a bigger barrier for them to keep them safe. Well, when she went, she took a couple more people with her, but in the process, I think she took the piece with her, but it could only do so much. So it started picking off everybody. Okay. And at this point, I think she had lost the piece that was supposed to keep them safe, or it was somewhere else where she wasn't. Long story short, it ended up getting a hold of her too. And even though she was able to escape the effects of what it had done to her, once it got a hold of her, ultimately ended up killing her. So they took the one piece, because I believe they found again, or somebody else found it. Somebody else had it. I think her daughter had it. That's who had it. So her daughter ended up getting it, and her and a couple more people finally decided to go back one more time, and they ended up getting several pieces. They called them pillars. And they found, I believe it was 13 pillars, and they buried them underground, like around the Western Woods, to contain it. And so now he's contained to like the Western Woods, and that's it. They have more of a, I guess, like a better protection plan. So now that they've gotten all the information that they need, Halloran ends up asking Daniel, hey, where's the entrance so I can find these pieces, these pillars? And Daniel has no control over not being able to tell him where they are. He says that they are underground. They're in these underground tunnels past the old sewer, past the old well, excuse me. It's past the old well in these underground tunnels. Well, when he said that, y'all, it showed us this creepy ass house. And that's the way the episode ends, y'all. It was a pretty good episode. I enjoyed it. Now, I don't like the fact that they doing my boy Will like that. Okay, I really don't. But I do know that he's going to be around for a while. Now, we don't know who else is going to be around with him. We don't know if Miss Charlotte is going to make it out. I feel like she's getting too close. She is not safe. Nobody is safe here, y'all. Except for Will, I believe. And maybe Leroy, because he ain't scared of nothing. And Hollering, because we know he make it out too. But everybody else, I don't know. But y'all let me know what y'all thought about it, okay? I had started working on episode 5. I just couldn't finish it today. So hopefully that'll be out tomorrow. Okay. Of course, I'm not doing anything on Thursday. Friday, I might be able to do something. Saturday night, I may be able to, if not Sunday. All right, y'all. So that's all I have for now. Okay, you guys let me know what you are thinking about the season so far. Do you like it? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Are you scared? I'm scared for them babies, y'all. I am really terrified for those babies. I really hope that they all make it through, but I don't know. I am kind of glad that Marge got to finally see what was behind the scenes. Now I'm waiting on patty cakes. But wishful thinking, right, y'all? So with that's it. Y'all let me know what y'all thought about it. You can reach me at Me and You TV Reviews on Facebook and on Instagram. You can also reach me at My TV Reviews Podcast without the S on the end at gmail.com. I love y'all, okay? I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday season. Y'all, please keep your loved ones close. Whether that's family or friends, keep them close, y'all. Love on them this holiday season. And until we meet over the airwaves again, I am Mo, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.